What are some warning signs and signals that leaders should be looking out for to calculate risks within their business model?
This is a really important question for leaders on, when should I panic, in the face of this digital disruption. And getting that right is extremely difficult. We know if you react too slowly as a leader, you risk, this boiled frog syndrome where, you're not acting fast enough and, eventually you get boiled. Jump onto the disruption bandwagon too early, and then you're going to waste your time and your money and your people, and then you're going to get disrupted anyway, right? So getting that right is absolutely critical. One of the things that I found out through my research, and again, my own experience, is that it is possible to essentially quantify the amounts of risk that you face as a business leader, and use a metric, which I call the Digital Disruption Index, to give you signals of when the disruption is getting too much, right? So it's a little bit like being the poor frog in the boiling pan, and you have a signal that says, oh no, this is getting really dangerous, jump out now, right? So it's the equivalent of that. So the components of this digital disruption risk index are your consumers or your customers, and what are they telling you about the pain of doing business with you or using your products. It's not necessarily how good or bad your product is, but how much it can be improved. Classified ads 10 years ago weren't really bad, but the fact that you could then get them for free on Craigslist, your consumers start to tell you, hey, you're not competitive any longer, and you really, really have to measure that. Right? The second thing is your warning signs of your industry. And this is what most business leaders actually look at, right? So, is the banking industry getting disrupted? So on and so forth, right? So you have to do that. The third is then what your ecosystem, your suppliers, your retailers, as well as your venture capitalists are telling you in terms of what are new products that are coming up that you need to start to pay attention. So this would tell you, if you were a blockbuster, that, hey, there's a whole bunch of these, mail-in DVDs or streaming media companies that we are funding as venture capitalists, so you better get into that particular space, right? And then the fourth and the final area is basically what your own organization and your business performance is telling you. If you start to see slowly over a period of time that the only way that you're delivering your business results is by hitting the efficiency goals hard, you have a problem. And if your organization is starting to feed to you that they're feeling a little beat up, you're telling them, make sure that the customer, is delighted, but you're beating up your employees as a way to do that, that's not good. And so those are all warning signs. And you can measure all of them, and you can actually chart them. You have some new sets of measures that you have to get into, but they're all available. And the sooner you start to measure it, the better off you're going to be.